Welcome to Business Success Tips, where you learn to make more money in less time and have a lot more fun. I am your host, Paul Sanneman. I am founder of Contractor Staffing Source, where we help contractors build great teams. I have as my guest today, Brock Fankhauser from can you talk about your brand? Because it's a little hard to explain. So tell me about 1776 and what it does and what you represent.
Yeah, we're a brand that it began as a real estate brand, actually the name of a community that we were building in suburban Charlotte that honors American history, honors American present, and wants to be a part of Americans' future as far as bringing unity to a community. And so since we unveiled it in one community, it's kind of taken off in a viral way as multiple communities. And now we have merchandise, t-shirts, hats, and we're looking into expanding into other aspects of American society that are all rooted in, I'd call it Americanism or just
You need to
patriotism.
start a rock band. You know what I mean? To be perfect.
You don't want me anywhere near an instrument, but yeah, why
I,
not have a 1776 rock band, right?
There we go. That'd be good. So tell me, Brock, how do you get involved and what does it actually mean? If you want to say, okay, tell me more. I'm a contractor. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. I do, pick a number like 5 million and I'm not that well known, but I've been around a while. So how can you help me?
Brands, and we think we're definitely an emerging brand. We're a new brand, but an emerging brand carries with it an identity that almost it has a tribe-like effect, and it short circuits things that are very difficult for small and medium-sized business, and that's marketing. How do you get eyes on you? And most of us are involved in interruption marketing. We do things that interrupt people's attention span in hopes that we can get them to focus on us. And that's really not a good way to market. So if we can market by way of branding, right? Think Harley Davidson, right? Not that we're comparing ourselves to them, but we think that's a way to grow business. And we talked about this the last time we were together is how do we short circuit the consolidation that's happening in our country with trades and suppliers and at our level with builders and developers. Well, being a brand helps with that. It's hard to beat the big box stuff because they'll crush you with low margins and advertising that we can't do.
Right. Well,
So
I
our
mean,
hope is that people, yeah,
I was saying I use the Walmart analogy, right? I mean, what happens is, all the local stores are having a hard time finding employees, having difficulty with business, and then Walmart moves outside of town, has, 100 million to drop into the store, somehow finds 400 people from someplace, has better margins, and then all of a sudden it sucks all the business out of downtown. Well, this hasn't happened ever, in my opinion, in construction until the last couple of years because the advent of artificial intelligence has disrupted a lot of industries. I have a guy finding a whole legal case using ChatGPT, right? So it's like attorneys, people where I'm selling information for money are disrupted. So all this money is looking for someplace to go, right? And obviously construction is, your ChatGPT is not going to build your house anytime soon. It may make it information, may design the plans, may come up with the project, but it's not going to turn the wrench. It can't do that, not for a long time. Even Elon Musk robots will take a while. So it's a safe haven for cash. There's a lot of cash going to this market, and then what's going to happen is you're going to have to compete against these guys. And there's a couple franchises out there, but they usually take a major percentage of your revenue and that kind of thing. So it seems to me you're a great alternative to, build a brand without costing a ton of money. Could you explain like what it costs and how you do it?
yeah. I mean, on the home building side, which is our bread and butter, licensing our brand to builders, they pay about a half of 1% of revenue. A typical house out there, it's 2,500 bucks. If you're building 30 houses a year, it's 75 grand. I mean, there's builders who will, in selling three houses with a realtor involved, will pay 75 grand. So we can
Right.
justify how you pay for this. But, I think about contractors, they don't have revenue like a home builder. So there's other ways for us to talk about it, but it's a small percentage of revenue, and we consider it advertising, right? For those
Right.
contractors out there, how much are you investing in advertising, or are you a word of mouth guy? Are you a
Well,
sign guy, right? This is an alternative to help grow your business where you don't have to suffer the slings and arrows of these competitors that are gobbling up everything. And I contend too, there's people out there who are looking at their kitchen right now, or looking at a bathroom, or looking at a roofing project, and they know something has to get done. Don't you think there are people out there who say, you know what, if I have my preference, I'd rather have someone who loves America and outwardly shows it as my contractor, right? I think
well,
there's something to that long term.
and so I think that brings something else into focus, which is, as I see it, you may be happy or sad about the last election. That's your politics. But in general, there is a move to the country to nationalism, the right, to sort of some of the things you stand for. And whether you like it or hate it, they voted. It's like literally America voted. So I think now more than ever, that brand is going to be useful because it's sort of riding the horse in the direction it's going. You know what I mean? That the country is moving toward nationalism. They're moving toward, make America great, blah, blah, that kind of stuff. So that has to help your brand because you're in alignment with that. You know what I mean? It's not, you may not have planned that, but I think the current political atmosphere, what's going on in the country, what's happening because of the last election, I think there was a lot of paranoia whether the Republicans would have gone down fighting, the Democrats probably not so much. Everybody voted, let's do this. So now there's there's a renewed faith in the economy, renewed faith in the system. You can see by the stock market what happened there. And there's a whole thing that, whether you believe it or not, making America great again is something that's out there, right? It just, whether you want to do it or not, it is out there. And to me, your brand goes right along with those kind of values, right?
Yeah, I mean, we were gonna have this brand whether November 5th happened or not. We're committed to our country. My
Right,
personal belief system is that we want to do something positive in a sea of a lot of negativity.
right,
Um, Certainly, we're not complaining about what happened because it's almost like patriotic Americans have been given a license that they didn't have before to outwardly display their connection to our country. 50 years ago, definitely 20 years ago, you wouldn't have thought that people would be seeking a license, a parenthetical license to display their patriotism. But the strong voices out there who made it clear that we're going to do things to you personally if you go against this narrative, right, that America has original sin and that it's a tainted country. This has given strength to the majority of voices out there who like where they live, and now they're taking beyond ballot box measures. They're now taking it as an opportunity to say, I want to do something positive for my country. So we're thrilled with the sentiment, and it's a wave for sure that's not going away anytime soon.
Well, as I see it, you brought up we're under information overload. I'm going to call it that, right? We have tons and tons of stuff, and competing for that mind share is getting harder and harder to do because people that have more and more money are trying to compete against you, and it's hard when they throw cash at it. But I think you're tapping into something that is sort of inherent in a lot of people in this country, and I think if they see that brand and they have those kind of emotions, I think it helps build trust. And I think there's a know like trust thing. And so the most important thing about a contractor is trusting them, right? And to me, anything you can do to help build that trust is going to make you the chosen guy over the person who's not building the trust, or not building it as fast. And so to me, your brand helps build trust faster than maybe, John Doe remodeler, ABC contractor, just sort of what do you want to call it? Mike Jones who new home,
Mhm.
right? So I think, you start building Mike Jones new homes, who the heck's Mike Jones, right? Like, who's that guy? And so there's no brand attached to it. I think you're in a wave. So even this, to me, it's one of those things. If they haven't heard of it, they'll think, I think I've heard of those guys, even if they haven't, right? Because it's sort of like a mindset. So when they see it, they go, I know. They don't know how, why, or where. It may tap into their subconscious or something. But I think there's going to be sort of more of an immediate feeling of trust than maybe with something that's not quite so sacred or whatever you want to call that is patriotism.
Yeah, that's the hope. I mean, a brand like ours, where we actually have to license it to contractors, builders, developers, we can license it, but we also have a responsibility to take it away if someone isn't conforming to the brand standards. And ultimately, the consumer is going to know this, that if you are going to do business with a 1776er, they have been vetted originally, and then annually they have to go through a vetting process to commit not only their allegiance to the brand, but that their product is favorably viewed by the consumer. So
Right.
you have almost this seal of approval
Remember the good
that
housekeeping seal of approval, that kind of thing, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And think about the name, right? You still don't have to give up your company name. There's a tagline that goes with it, right? You carry your historical name with you, but that tagline that's on your shirts, on your advertising, on your trucks, right? Our hope is that long term, it's instantly recognizable and it translates into quality.
Right. Well, I mean, the good news, you're building on a brand that already exists. Not to be facetious, but you know what I mean.
It's the oldest brand, right, in our
Oldest
country.
brand, right? So the brand is what is a couple hundred years old at least, right? So you're building on an existing brand, and that's always easier than starting from scratch. I think that was brilliant you came up with that. So I guess my point is, what do you provide? Just for curious, say I'm a builder in Tennessee. I decided, okay, I want, instead of being John Doe Homes, I want to be a 7076 like franchisee, for lack of a better term. What do I get? How do you work with me? How do I build a brand? What are some of the specifics of how this is actually going to work?
Yeah, because we are a builder and a developer ourselves, we are doing what we're advising licensees to do. It starts with branding and marketing and stuff like your collateral material, whether it's brochures, signage, street names within your community, how to do display advertising, how to do social media posts, how to conduct interviews with media, whether it's local or national, how to do a grand opening and event, all things that we have done and are doing because we are also a 1776 builder. So first and foremost, it covers a lot of the disciplines in sales and marketing that frankly a lot of builders hate doing. They don't want to do it.
Not a
They
good
rely
idea.
on realtors to bring them business. This is going to short circuit that, so you're not going to be paying so much money to realtors. More
When,
as we get bigger, Paul, we're rolling out a plan library right now. We've worked with an architect out of Atlanta who's, I call him America's architect. His designs look like stuff out of Williamsburg and Charleston and New Orleans. And so we want to roll out plans that look like they're inspired by American history.
okay.
Eventually, as we have enough volume, there's going to be a trade network, national accounts, rebates, things that come when you have power in numbers. So, whether you're buying cabinets or shingles or windows and doors, the expectation is years from now, licensees will be building at lower costs than they were otherwise doing on their own.
Right. Well, that's why I compete with the big guys because I'm sure D.R. Horton pays less than the average builder for windows, right? So,
Big time.
uh, so the other question is going to be, I'm a recruiting company, and I can see it also helping the recruiting because, attracting quality people is important. I think a brand, not only you got the external sale, which is to the customer, but you got the internal sale, which is your own employees and recruiting employees. Have you found that that brand helps maybe attract some of the better people?
Absolutely. And we've used your company recently to hire a couple of people. We've tailored our interview process, the actual questions that we ask these candidates to answer on video. Some of them are tailored to your work abilities, your attitude, but some of it's tailored to what do you think about our country? And we get some people that have some interesting answers. Some are not particularly smitten with the idea and they make it known. But the people that we've hired have a strong passion for the country. In fact, we've hired people who weren't even born in this country that love it so much. And you can just feel their energy on these interviews. that are set up on your wonderful platform, by the way, in screening candidates, we have found that it's a secret sauce to hiring people. If you want people who are particularly connected to your brand, which we certainly do, your platform makes it easy for us to find candidates.
Right. And I think that sort of ties in. I mean, like one of the most successful franchises in the country is Chick-fil-A, right? And they have a, well, you love or hate the value system, they have a very clear value system, right? And you're either in or you're out. But that has allowed them to build a great franchise with great customer service because all those people have a common belief. Now, whether you believe it or not, that's up to you. That, you know, different companies have different kind of beliefs. But if you have a common value that all people tie into, makes you a much stronger company than not that value. Because most customer service, I'm going to say, is value driven. Like, what is the customer important, what they think? And I think when you look at, I'm not saying I agree with Christian values, but Chick-fil-A has been a very successful company at bonding people with common values and building an amazingly successful franchise.
Yeah, it's the like-mindedness that humans yearn for. It's not just an American thing or a fried chicken thing,
Right,
but there's this embedded ethos in organizations like that who commit to certain foundational ideals, and they attract a tribe. They attract followers, kind of like Harley Davidson. I mean, there's people out there who do not get paid by Harley Davidson to tattoo themselves, but they
right.
find it really cool to tattoo themselves. So, and also I would say too about Chick-fil-A customers, I guarantee you there are countless Chick-fil-A customers who are getting Starbucks in the morning and Chick-fil-A for lunch, right? So these people aren't, uh, dyed in the wool people who are using their feet and their checkbooks to support a company, but they'll take it, right? They'll eat that chicken sandwich over Hardee's, right?
Well,
When
you
given
get
the option.
service is better, the food's better. You don't go there because you happen to be a Christian or believe them. You go there because it's the best price, the best food, the best product, and you're hungry. That's what drives you,
Yeah,
right? And you
yeah,
know there's a certain quality that they're going to have that other franchises don't have in the quality of service, the quality, the way you're handled, the quality of the food. I mean, that value permeates everything from, what they buy, when they buy, how it permeates the entire company. And therefore, those values drive a quality that isn't in some other franchises.
yeah. It's a never-ending loop, right? Just things that they're free as far as Chick-fil-A is concerned. That how to answer someone when they say thank you. Their answer is it's my pleasure, right?
Right,
And 100% of the employees there do it 100% of the time, and it costs the company $0, and yet it has a profound impact on their customers, on their cohesion of their employees. It's a culture, and it's
right,
very hard to get there, and it takes a long time for companies if they ever get there to get there.
right. So I think, your brand helps the external sale because you're tying to people's values. It helps the internal sale because you're tying to people's values. So to me, if you haven't got a brand that you're in love with and you're concerned about, well, how do I compete for these people with a lot more cash than I have with competing for customers and competing for employees, I think tying into a brand like yours is a possible solution.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we appreciate you saying that. We think that's where we're going. We're not void of challenges. There's challenges at all intersections that we arrive to, but we're finding something that we've never had before in our history, and we've been developing property for 25 years, never having built a brand, never having built a tribe, and just the
Paying
first year
realtors a
or
lot
two.
of money, right?
Yeah, I mean, we made a lot of mistakes and we're going to keep making mistakes. But the one thing we've never had is a brand and a tribe-like following. And we're right at the beginnings of it, to the point where we are prepared to sell this to other companies because it's tangible, it's repeatable, and I think it's good for business.
And it works. I mean, that's the most important thing.
Mhm.
So, Brock, if people want to get in touch with you, how do they do it? And I will tell you, if you don't have some of these values, don't bother to call Brock, right? So, but if patriotism rings with you and you say, I like what he's saying, I feel these are important values to me, and you own a construction company, you should definitely give Brock a call.
Yeah, go to 1776community.com. You can find us the same way on social media. You've got some good videos of who we are, some good stories to follow. We've had some exposure on national media. That's kind of fun to watch, and we continue to have exposure on national media because we recognize that this brand has to draw the attention of consumers. That's
Did
ultimately.
you apply for Trump's housing advisor? Just curious.
No, but he is going to do, he's calling them freedom communities. I don't know ultimately what they're going to be called, but he's going to take federal land, right? There's 650 million acres of federal land, and he'll take fractions of a fraction of a fraction of 1% nationwide and open it up to development that has from the beginning of time been prohibited. And this is not, beautiful parks that are going to be, destroyed
It's some
by.
area out in Arizona where nobody wants to live, right? Or
Well,
nobody wants to visit on vacation. Nice place to live, but you don't want to go there on vacation, right?
every one of us drives by federally protected land every day, and you have no idea. And so I see these communities opening up. I'd like to get with him and talk about branding with us. He's
Right.
he's one of America's original brand guys, right? So why can't these
Whether you
freedom
like him or hate him, he's great at building brand.
Yeah, so I definitely see a future there.
That's great. Well, thanks, Brock. I appreciate being here. And again, if these values ring true with you, you're crazy not to give Brock a call because you're going to be competing over the next 5 or 10 years with people that have a lot more cash and resources than you do. And like D.R. Horton's not going away and all these builders. So I would definitely consider this an opportunity to be fairly, to be competitive in this kind of coming market.
Thank you, Paul. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Brock. I appreciate you being here.